Greetings! What is up, and a very warm welcome to this random lockdown cast coming at you guys on, what are we now, Blursday the 24th of May. And I just hopped up into the live game lobby and found a fantastic game between two pretty high-ranking players, so I'm just going to jump straight ahead and cast that one. And we're casting today live on Twitch. We're kind of slowly developing our skills at streaming and stuff like that. So in keeping with that, yeah, we're going to be using Twitch today. Hopefully it's going to be coming through loud and clear. Hopefully the quality's decent. And I'm going to hopefully upload the VODs from this onto YouTube a little bit later. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our two players to you. Spawning in the west, playing as the Vermac Pieces here on Kolodny Farm, it's going to be Iroa. And spawning in the east, playing as the United Kingdom Forces, it's going to be 3M's Weckler. So, yep, these two players are right at the top of the game. Should be a pretty high-level battle coming for you guys today. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what kinds of spice these two players are going to bring. And I kind of think it's kind of my opinion that the two, if I had to choose an Axis faction and an Allied faction which had the most similarity to each other, I think for me it would be United Kingdom Forces and Wehrmacht. They feel like they are the most directly analogous forces to each other. They're both but have options to similar stuff at similar stages. They both initially can produce decent infantry and a machine gun. They both sort of tech in similar-ish ways. You just sort of pay money to unlock stuff with no sort of frills or anything added on top. And I don't know, I just feel like when I'm playing as UKF, all of my Wehrmacht, or a lot of my Wehrmacht sort of experience is relevant and sort of vice versa. And that for me was why I was really happy when they added UKF, apart from obviously being from the UK myself. I just thought, hey, finally, an Allied faction that plays like Axis, so that if I don't feel like trying to play as Allied, I can just play Axis when I'm playing as Allied. So, yeah, Weckler here is just like one of the best players in the game. Looks like he's going to be rolling with Royal Engineer Regiment. No, it's Royal Artillery Regiment. Damn it, I always get those two wrong. Special Weapons Geezer and Special Operations Geezer. It's Mobile Assault Regiment. God damn it. The beret gets me every time. I am fooled by that beret, like, routinely. So, looks like it's an MG42 first here into Infantry Company, into Double Grenadier for Iroa, who's going to be running with Spearhead Doctrine, Strategic Reserves Doctrine, and German Infantry Doctrine. So those are the choices available to Iroa as this game goes on. I'm just going to boost my gain a little here. There we go. We got it's going to be a Vickers gun moving out onto the field here for Weckler. Both of these two players realizing the power of MGs, particularly on Kolodny. There are a lot of nice structures and choke points that you can control with MGs. So yeah, both of them going to be spicing into spicing an MG into their rosters pretty early here. Looks like Iroa is going to go ahead and pick German Infantry Doctrine at this early juncture. And dude, are we seeing a lot of this commander at the moment? Damn, man, he's like dominating the Wehrmacht meta. And like, it's not that I don't see why. It's definitely a really strong commander, and it definitely addresses a lot of Wehrmacht's weakest sort of elements. Being able to up your Grenadier squads to 5 men with the veteran squad leader is pretty big. I mean, it's huge. It's fair to say, I reckon the 4-man squad sort of limit on Wehrmacht forces is their biggest factional weakness, and having your squads be so fragile can be incredibly punishing, especially in the late game, and trying to keep those squads alive in the late game is really difficult. So to have something that addresses that weakness so directly is very tempting. And the commander does a lot of other stuff besides, absolutely. But, I don't know. Maybe it's just the selection of games that I've cast, and, you know, there could be more to this that I'm not seeing, but it just feels to me as though players are perhaps overvaluing German Infantry Doctrine just a bit. We're seeing it on the roster basically every single Wehrmacht game, and we're seeing it get picked, like, probably more often than not at the moment. So I don't know if that's correct, because I'm seeing Wehrmacht players still lose games. So, I mean, with this commander, like, quite a lot. So, I don't know. I'm not convinced that it's, like, boosting the win rate in the way that Wehrmacht players are hoping it will. But it is clearly really powerful, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Iroa is going to do with the commander here. Looks like a pretty even start for these two players. UKF forces controlling south and mid, whilst the Axis forces controlling north. Both players get 1 munition, 1 fuel, and it's going to be a slight score lead advantage for now, opening up for the UKF player. Yes! he's going to go ahead and pick the, what is it again? Mobile Assault Regiment. So, okay, I'm happy about this because I actually reckon that land mattresses are really good at the moment. I just never see them look bad. I think that UKF is a faction that rocket artillery is like disproportionately beneficial to. I think just due to a lot of the other stuff that UKF has that also throws out large amounts of explosions, like the pyrotechnics package and some other like call-in abilities. I just think having access to a rocket artillery unit is like really good. It just seems great. And I've seen many Axis players on the channel recently just crumble before the land mattress. I say many. I've probably cast like 3 or 4 games over the last month involving the land mattress. But I mean, it's always looked good. Let's put it that way. And the other stuff that the commander gives you is decent as well. Putting flamethrowers on your troops is really awesome. Commandos still pack a lot of punch. They ain't what they used to be, but they're still really useful. And the vehicle repair operation is just always going to be a useful one. There are some clutch situations, but that one's really going to pull your ass out the fire. There's going to be AEC tech here for Weckler, which we're totally used to seeing. I don't think anybody who's not serious... I don't think anyone who's serious about playing UKF really thinks that Bofors are viable, even on the small maps. You can try and cheese your opponent. There are things you can do. Bofors are not absolutely useless, but I think if you're looking to play a game of Company of Heroes 2 and not just cheese your opponent out with some blindsidey weird tech, then yeah, Bofors are just not a part of the game, really. Which is a shame. I actually still think it's a bit of a problem with UKF forces and the way they're designed, that they have the sort of Beaufort AEC choice or split or whatever. Like, I think it's okay to lock players into one of those choices, but I don't think that the Beauforts is offering enough on the table where, like, it's a valid choice. I mean, because the AEC is just so good. When are you ever going to pick a Beaufort over that? So anyway, AEC is out on the field right now. Nice camo, actually. That's some, like, Desert Fox style camo. That's pretty spicy. Don't think I've ever... Don't remember this camo, it's pretty cool. 222 Scout Car going to be coming out here for the Axis player. So we're going to have a little bit of a sort of light armoured skirmish here as this game goes on. And we'll see. It's going to come down to the micro of these two players as to how these fights come down. But obviously the AEC right now is definitely the kingmaker on the field. And that one's going to be able to kind of take names and dictate the terms of engagement here. So yeah, the 222 going to have to be scarce, but it doesn't take much to flip that dynamic. If the AEC falls foul of anything, then definitely the 222 can stalk it down. Looks like the AEC going to come in for a bit of a dive here, wants to get some damage, rack up some veterancy. Let's keep an eye on the veterancy thing here as it scores hits on the 222. Actually not worth as much as I thought. I guess 222s are still quite cheap. But yeah, really nice poke coming through here for Weckler, who for a little while there had a triple cap established. So the scoreline differential beginning to open up. This is looking like a pretty promising start for the UKF player. But Iroha springing right back here. You can see still maintaining decent control over a fuel and a munitions point, and has regained control over North VP for now, although UK forces are pushing up there. So, wow, yeah, Vickers gun in mid doing some work here as well. So yeah, Weckler looking pretty strong, to be honest, as we'd expect from him. So, yeah. I guess it's kind of on Iroha right now to gain control over this area of the map. Yeah, putting an MG42 into this building is basically always the start of that for Vermac players on this map, and that's going to help a lot. Vickers gun here is chipping away, and the AEC is going to be super annoying, actually. At this range, getting maximum damage with the coaxial is really nice. We've got flamethrowers on the boys from Wales here as well. So, okay, Pat gun comes down here from Iroha. So, like the mechanized company, obviously, well, of course he has a 222. Lol. So anyway, yeah, he's got the tech. Let's put it that way. Pat gun's going to be coming out here. Faust does actually connect. These grenadiers get a sort of like through building Faust onto the AEC. 222 gets taken out though. Now, where's the Pat gun? Oh, it's still quite a long way away right now, so it is unlikely, I feel, that the Axis player is going to be able to cobble together a kill on this AEC. Though, having said that, actually, you know what, there is some supporting infantry here. I was going to say, oh, whoa, okay, though, Incendiary MG42 comes down, the first star of veterancy coming up on that MG unit just in the nick of time. So there is actually a timeline where these Grenadiers are able to close the distance and get the KO blow with a Panzerfaust here. I don't think this Faust will do it. Needs one more? Yep, okay, going to need one more. And yeah, there's just no Grenadiers who are going to be here to finish the job. It's good for Weckler that the covering support infantry was here, and these engineers will probably go and help that AEC out now. Although the Pat gun is stalking into the correct area of the map, I still just think with no support for the Pat gun, there's no way it can push out into fog of war that far. So I think the AEC should be safe. Going to be going up to 4 squads of Tommies here as Weckler. 5-man squad upgrade is complete. So this UKF infantry is actually really starting to muscle Iroha around. Even with veteran squad upgrade on one of his grenadier squads, it's actually just not enough to stand up to these units right now. And Commando's bursting out of cover here to rout the Axis MG. And it's looking a bit grim right now for Iroha. Lucky for Iroha, they're still going to be able to, as soon as this is connected, have fuel income from 1 point and still have 1 VP. So the damage right now is definitely not it's not a critical hit. It is not super bad, but Iroha is definitely having a rough early game here. As we pass the 10-minute mark and I have a sip on my drink. So I guess a lot of the UKF units are falling back to base to reinforce rearm, and there's a little window of time here when Iroha can try and get his house in order. 222, the second 222, coming in here. This is pretty deep to be coming in. Not sure what I think of this. I guess he was looking for the AEC, but there's just enough support here. Actually, oh, this is so risky. I'm not quite sure what the intention of this is. We've already taken 1 hit from the AEC. I don't think we're going to be able to come in for a dive and finish that one off. So perhaps just gathering some intel there. And did he just lose the... Oh no, he just lost the 222. Oh, did he hit some mines? He must have. Oh, wow. Oh god, that really hurts. Oh no, mines also finding these grenadiers here. So Weckler just making brutal use of mines out here. Ugh. Gets the 222. That's so savage. That is Zwei 100, Zwei and 20 scout cars that have been taken out by Weckler in the early stages of this game. Iroha not really getting the work done that they wanted to with those units. Okay, alright, so we're in a rough spot now. Let's check the tech here for the Axis player. No sign of battle phase 2. So we'll see if that comes down sooner or later. We've kind of already delayed our teching a little bit by going for 2 222s though. So yeah, Iroha definitely in a rough spot, but putting up a good fight right now for middle, and these veteran squad upgrades are still coming down. Munitions are still flowing, which is probably the most important thing right now at this stage in the game for the Wehrmacht player. Commandos show up just in the nick of time to dissuade these grenadiers from getting the flank here. That is a super low squad of grenadiers. Epic rifle grenade. Finds the Vickers. Gibbs the crew. Wow. Oh, nice. Okay, alright. So can Iroha grab this hardware? Seems unlikely. There's quite a lot of British forces around the area. But if he could grab this Vickers gun, that would be massive. Like, stealing a unit from the roster of the UKF player is massive if he can pull it off. Where are these commandos going? They are sneaky, sneaky. They are getting around the sides of this MG. And they're using their commando-given abilities to sort of stealth around the place here. Okay, they do get spotted. Grenadiers looking like they're going to come across and cover the flank, but the commandos are right on top. Those silent stens at this range should beat the grenadiers, and handily. Is Weckler paying attention? Sorry, is Iroha paying attention? He is. The fall down comes down. MG42 gets into the building. Here comes some kind of grenade. What is it? Do they get the light gammon bomb? Yep, okay, so that's a light gammon bomb onto the MG42. That one is now super low, comes out the wrong side of the building and gets gunned down. Those Germans gunned down in their prime there, and that will be an MG42 knocked off the roster. So Weckler, given as good as he gets, wipes out an MG shortly after his own gets taken down. Gonna be rebuilding? Gonna be rebuilding the Vickers gun? Oh, wow, because did the Pack gun pick off this Vickers gun? I guess it did. So... Alright, feels the need to rebuy the MG, that makes sense. The MG here is going to get recrewed by Grenadiers for Iroha, so both these players are going to be rebuilding. It's difficult to play this map without an MG, and certainly if your faction has access to a strong MG like both of these does, and you're not exploiting that strength on this map, then you're probably doing it wrong. So yeah, these players putting a lot of value in keeping MGs operational in their roster, and that makes a lot of sense. This is the vehicle repair operation, I believe, coming down here. Weckler going to be repairing the AEC off the back of that one. Let's quickly check the tech here for the Axis player. No sign of battle phase 2. I believe company command post is just finishing up right now for Weckler. So Weckler starting to flex here. Although, crucially, Iroha, despite having kind of the inferior army here, but only just, is maintaining a double cap right now. So, like, closing up the scoreline, like, things could definitely be worse. And throughout pretty much this entire game, has not been cut off, has maintained income from a fuel and munitions point and a couple of others. So, this game is definitely close, despite Weckler looking pretty dominant on the field and taking some pretty sweet fights. This AEC is being microed so well, by the way. I mean, he got tagged by a Faust early on, but outside of that, this AEC has just been finding value. Actually just being kind of a menace against the infantry of Iroha, getting in nice and close to use that coax for max damage, policing the MG42 at various stages in the game. It's nice stuff. So, okay, this is just too many Germans, so I think the Tommies here are going to have to give way. They're going to be as annoying as possible in this building. And where is that Vickers gun? Okay, in a nice position, going to be covering this central building. The MG42 probably on its way to get back in there. We could see a pyrotechnics barrage. Okay, actually, those Tommies are back at base. I was going to say, I would like to see a pyrotechnics barrage come down on this building, just because the sooner you flatten this building, as the Eastern spawning player, the easier your life is going to be. Yo, Jibba Jabba Jabba! What's up, guy? Nice to see you in chat, bro. So yeah. Alrighty. Do we have Battle Phase 2 on the way? This is some late Battle Phase 2 now. We're at 15.5 minutes, and I appreciate Iroha has needed to spend the manpower elsewhere, and we've just lost a squad of Grenadiers, I believe. So, the noose tightening here. Weckler... that almost rhymes with flexing. Every time I'm like, Weckles is flexing, Wexy flex. It's like, I really want that to rhyme, but it doesn't. But yeah, Weckler's looking pretty strong right now. He is starting to shove Iroha. He's going to be grabbing double muni in a second, and that's pretty crushing for... It's crushing for any Wehrmacht player, because Wehrmacht just live on their munitions, especially for the first 20-25 minutes of the game. But if you go for German infantry doctrine, it's like doubly punishing, because you need those munitions to access the super powerful stuff, really, that this doctrine offers you. Going to be a Cromwell here, the first massive, or the first, like, armoured fuel spending unit of choice. The AEC is armoured. The first medium armoured fuel spending unit of choice here for Weckler. So yeah, going to be a Cromwell. And you have to think that that Cromwell looks really well poised to dominate the battlefield here. One pack gun is here, and if it weren't for that pack gun, this would be a sort of game-ending Cromwell. So there is one pack gun, but I mean, has Battle Phase 2 started? Okay, Battle Phase 2 has started and is well on the way. So that's good. And actually there's Panzer IV money here in terms of fuel. If he saves for a minute or so, he'll have the manpower. So there's going to be a window of time where this Cromwell is kind of really good. And then, hopefully, Iroha will be able to make the adjustments to his roster and control the benefit control the efficiency of that Cromwell. So here comes the Cromwell now. You can see it moving out on the minimap. It's going to be here momentarily. Look at these commandos. To be fair, actually, they probably could have gunned down that MG42 a little bit there. But, you know, Weckler can't be everywhere at once. You only have so much attention to spend on the game. So here comes the Cromwell. Weckler is just dominating, man. He's pushing so hard. MG42 will get substantially countered by the medium tank. The AEC got donked up. I didn't exactly see what by, but that one's probably going to be repaired pretty quick. Land mattress! Yeah! We do love a good land mattress. Alright! Well, things just got a lot more difficult here. What has he just lost? Oh god, he has to rebuy his pioneers. Iroha just on the ropes here. And there's been no single, like, neck snap moment where, like, Weckler has just come in and just, like, ended Iroha. This has just been consistently getting the upper hand and gaining more value than your opponent over the course of what is now 18 minutes and 20 seconds. Weckler just putting on a real show of domination. Now, this game's definitely not over, but I feel like this is one of those games where the German infantry doctrine, you got constricted on munitions, so the veteran squad upgrades were coming down as and when they could, but it's not like some games where the Axis player just gets the really good munitions income, and they're just like, suddenly all the Grenadier squads have the veteran squad upgrade. No, we've had to fight for all of these upgrades over the course of this game, and there's no Tiger plan. Like, there's no... Pack 43, there's no late game heavy hitter. I mean, there's the frag bombing run, but you ain't going to be able to afford that, and you can't really lean on that to carry you anyway, outside of super rare circumstances. So, this is going to be rough.
capture point. They're trying to take it.
All right, well, Panzer IV is going to be the choice, and I mean, I think Panzer IV was... I was about to say Panzer IV was kind of the only choice that makes sense, and I feel like definitely you need to buy the Panzer IV really to not die, but can we just stop for a second right here and think about whether a Stug would have been an okay choice? Because a Stug is cheaper. You can probably afford 2 Stugs. By the time this Panzer IV comes out, you probably would have had the money for 2 Stugs. Maybe not the manpower, actually. And I don't know. I'm just, like, as an intellectual exercise, I think it's interesting to analyse whether or not a Stug would have been better at this point with a view to getting double Stug. I don't know. I'm still not convinced that that's a bad decision, to be honest. Has this land mattress been firing yet? I don't think so. He's just waiting for a good opportunity, and that takes such discipline, to be honest. That the first barrage from any rocket artillery unit can always be the most backbreaking, because as long as that rocket artillery unit has not been scouted, it's the one that takes your opponent the most by surprise, of course. All right, here comes the land mattress. He lines up a good target. He knows that there's a pack gun and an MG back here. Oh my god! And it just wipes out the pack gun. And without the pack gun, I mean, this starts looking gross. That was probably the single most killable unit for this land mattress that would have made the most difference. And Weckler nails it. He waits until he knows, and then he takes the shot. And then, to be fair, he gets a little bit lucky on the spread. Yeah, like the first 3 or 4 rockets, was it? Like, blew up the pack gun crew? That won't happen on every land mattress barrage that you click on that spot. It just won't. So a little bit of luck there, but even if the first few rockets hadn't hit it, Iroha would have had to move that like pretty quick. Actually, Iroha gets the kill on the land mattress nicely. Gets that very quickly. But will he lose his Panzer IV for it? Here comes the Cromwell and the AEC. The stun round comes down from the AEC, so the Panzer IV is kind of just stricken here. The Royal Engineers are coming in to try and permanently donk the engine. Here comes the AT grenade. Dunk. And that should be, yeah, there's no two. Oh, he gets the Cromwell. He kind of gets the Cromwell. It's decrewed, but the Panzer IV goes down. We've lost the MG42 somewhere else whilst this was happening. Was that also to the land mattress barrage? Yikes. I don't know. And now Iroha is reduced to just 4 units against what is still quite a meaty UKF army. And this, he's repairing the Cromwell. Yeah. And then Iroha forced to GG. Yikes. Cool. Well, I mean, Weckler is about as good as I remember. That is a pretty dominating display. Yo, Terracry, good to see you in chat, my friend. Nice. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Weckler is just one of the most prolific and best players in the game, and certainly looked it in that fight. Iroha is also great, and to be honest, if the first 5 or 10 minutes of that battle look differently, like I really want to see what that timeline looks like, I really want to see what happens if Iroha is not just the underdog the whole game. But we don't get to see what that looks like today, unless they happen to be having a rematch right now. I'm just having a look right now through the live game lobby. Doesn't actually look like it, but we do have a nice fight between 4 Res and a Barcode. And that is the highest rated live game. So is that like... we might as well hop in and cast that one. I don't know who this Barcode is. I do see that Helping Hands is online. So I don't know if... Does Hands play with a Barcode? I don't know if Hands plays with a Barcode. I don't know if Hands has a Barcode. I'm not gonna... There's no way I can tell you who this is, so let's take you guys back into the game here. Boop, there we go. Yo, sup Free the Fox? The elusive magpie. Indeed, yes. Probably becoming less elusive as days go by. Lockdown times have driven me to use casting as a sort of form of supplementary sanity support to keep me just sane in these crazy days. So yeah, we're doing a bit more streaming, we're doing a bit more casting, there's some stuff going on, and it's not just Company of Heroes, although that is still so super dear and close to my heart that there's a lot of that going on, and it's definitely what I'm really comfortable doing. It's definitely what I felt like doing today. Anyway, let's go ahead and introduce these players. Spawning in the south, playing as the Wehrmacht pieces, it's going to be 4 Res, who, again, just one of the players at the top end of the meta. What are we now? It's Sunday, and we are, so it's like 3:30 UKF time, that kind of time. So like, I love the way that I've got 3 screens and a phone, and I still pick up and some other devices, and I still pick up my analog watch because that's how my brain thinks the time works. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, so it's 3:30. Apparently, there's just loads of great players out on the ladder. It's pretty cool. Spawning in the north, playing as the American forces. It's going to be Barcode. So, yeah, the map here is going to be Faymanville Approach, so a little bit more of a closer, more brutal, more bloody affair, perhaps, than the previous map we just cast. And, yeah, looking forward to seeing what these two players are going to bring. Let's have a look at the commanders. So for Barcode, we've got Airborne, we've got Recon, we've got kind of quite ugly guy. Who's this? Urban Assault Company. Huh. Is this like is this the newest US guy? Because I don't recognize this guy very much. Urban Assault Kits. Incendiary Devices. Huh. Is that like Molotovs for riflemen? The Sherman Assault package, you get Rangers, you get cover to cover, and you get the Sherman Calliope. Interesting. I'm not quite sure what to make of that package. Kind of hoping we see it get picked, just so that I will have had some experience watching it, and because for me it will be super new and spicy. This doesn't feel like a busted commander. Like I honestly think in terms of power level, my initial impression is that this is not going to stand up to heavy cavalry in the long term, but it looks good. So yeah, hoping we see that one. And for 4 res, it looks like we've got the ubiquitous German infantry doctrine. We've also got mechanized assault, and we've got some other guy who looks remarkably similar to the other two. Just loads of German geezers with little peak hats. Can't remember this guy, so he is Storm Doctrine. Ambush training, Regal Mines, Smoke Bombs, Lef 18 Artillery, and the Stuka Bombing Strike. Okay. Cool. Alright, not really a commander that I see very often. And quite a generic one, to be honest. This seems like just like one of those commanders who's been in the game for a long time, which is like another combination of the generic Wehrmacht abilities that we are used to seeing. And to be honest, at first glance, not one that seems particularly ace. Like, not sure about picking this one over like Jaeger Armor even, or certainly Spearhead Doctrine, who's actually really good. But anyway, you know, players got to take what they like, and I like it when players bring new and spicy stuff, but I am, like, at the outset, slightly skeptical about this pick, but we'll see. It's going to be a marksman build for 4 res. Okay, cool, I like it. I love a good marksman build. I mean, this was, like, all I played for about 2 years. It was just, like, Wehrmacht every game, marksman every game. So, yeah, if there's a man who can appreciate a marksman build, it's got to be me. Lieutenant Tech here for the American player, so far so standard for Barcode here. And with the opening skirmishes on the map seemingly favouring no particular player, I was really paying attention more to their commander picks than what was happening on the battlefield, but we find ourselves with field control kind of split fairly evenly, with neither player leading the scoreline. As I just have a little stretch. Alright, so with the lieutenant here, these riflemen are beginning to take some pretty smart fights. A couple of squads of grenadiers being forced back here, even the marksman taking some fire somewhere. And that's... Any hit you get on this German marksman is worth so much veterancy for the squad doing the hitting. You've got to be really careful. I mean, obviously he's incredibly fragile, so you have to be careful he doesn't die, but you really don't want him getting shot at all, because the amount of veterancy you start feeding is gross. So yeah, you really want to keep him out of the line of fire entirely. It's going to be a utility car. Wow. You know, I actually can't really remember the last time I saw a utility car from American forces. Time was the utility car was used every game. But since then, things have changed a little bit, and the locations of various units in the American tech tree has changed a little bit, and we basically just see Stuarts nowadays if it's Lieutenant Tech, but going to be a utility car for Barcode here. And as far as I know, the utility car has not been made any worse. It's still great, so I'm really glad to be seeing it, to be honest. Let's refresh myself of the cost of the utility car, because it's been a while. Just 20 fuel. Americans get some really nice stuff. That's so crazy. Oh, wow. Pioneer's on super low here. He'll be unlucky to lose them, but that was close.
Utility car taking the field.
Dude, the utility car for 20 fuel. Oh, that's right, yeah, but the armoured skirts cost 70. So, yeah. But it's still great. Oh my god, he's going to lose the lieutenant. This is a dead lieutenant, right? The marksman isn't going to... He could miss. Nope, he's not going to miss. Wow, okay, well, picking off the lieutenant's really nice. You have to get the marksman out of there. All right, so of course, the other thing that the utility does really well is this. Gun down snipers. In fact, this is kind of what the unit is for. This should just be a dead marksman. Yeah, this is a dead marksman. All right, cool. I guess if you want to shut the door on your opponent, on your opponent's marksman, that was the most ignoble death. He's just like, yeah, okay, yeah. If you really want to shut the door on your opponent's marksman, you can just buy a utility car and do that. So that's really nice. Did he nick the MG? Oh god, he managed to somehow salvage this MG42 as well. So 4-res. Going to be following the tradition of Vermac players so far today and solidly becoming the underdog in this game. Now, we are only nearly 7 minutes into this game. Manpower income's still pretty good. If you're going to bounce back from a bad time, then it's going to be usually in this phase of the game. So definitely this isn't over, but this is a rough start. The triple cap has now been established for a little while, so that scoreline differential is opening up as Grenadier is going to be stalking this utility car to death over here. Did he actually buy the armored skirts? He did. Okay, so this represents like a little bit more of a loss. Here comes the final Faust. Bonk. So, okay, yeah, going to lose the utility car. Going to be a 222 scout car here for 4-res. And so that basically leaves us with 3 squad Grenadier and a Pioneer and what's about to be a 222 against 3 squad Riflemen with Rear Esh and MG42. So, and a 3/4 ton ambulance back at base, but that's hardly a combat unit. So this is kind of close-ish, but definitely 4-res kind of getting off to the worst end, having traded a sniper and an MG42 for a scout car. And with the MG42 being captured, that's like pretty terrible, to be honest. In fact, isn't that even worse than I think? Am I wrong about this? Yeah, am I wrong about this? Somebody help me, I don't understand how Americans work. Where's the 50 cal? Oh, my camera has frozen. Thanks for pointing that out. I have a really bad camera. It likes to freeze. So we're just going to reinitialize it. Cheers, Terracrite. Thank you so much for pointing that out. We're going to have to buy a real webcam. I was hoping to avoid that. Like, little secret on the sly, I don't actually own a webcam. I own a really old iPhone that I use as a webcam. Because I'm just like, that's a device with a camera on it, right? But it's just not a very good webcam. It's kind of really annoying to use and it does freeze. So we're probably going to buy ourselves a really cheap webcam at some point. Anyway. Hey Terracrite, actually, while you're here, could you try unfollowing and following again, and we'll see if notifications are working today, if alerts are on. That would be really useful. Yeah, that would just be useful for like diagnosing that. Anyway. So, the situation hasn't really deteriorated any further here for 4-res. Has rebought the MG42. It's going to be an airborne company pick for the American player and the INR Pathfinders. Sorry, just the Pathfinders. Coming down onto the queue. Thanks very much, Terracry. I'm keeping my eyes out here to see if we get the fail follow or the real follow. To be fair, since last time I've done no extra work on fixing these alerts. I was kind of hoping that they were just broken that day. But yeah, for those of you not in the know, we had a bit of a problem with the alerts on the channel last time. They just weren't really working, and we were getting like a briefly flickering zombie instead of the proper alert. So if that's still the case, then I'm going to have to try some stuff. Anyway, yeah, this American army is developing into quite a mean roster. So he's using the airborne company, as American players often do, to access the M1 anti-tank gun without having to pay for captain tech. And that is a strong thing to do. M1s are amazing, and one of the best things that captains give you. Sorry, I'm keeping half an eye out, like waiting for this alert to try and come through, because if they are still broken, it comes up for a fraction of a second, so I have to be like relatively alert for that. But yeah, so we've got the M1 anti-tank gun. With the MG42, this army is looking super well balanced. Wow, he's actually building the beacons. Okay. So let's refresh ourselves with what the beacons actually do, because it's been a while since I've seen that. The squad will plant a hidden beacon at the target location. The beacon will reveal nearby enemy units on the minimap, improving the accuracy of paradrops in the area and allowing paradrops to reinforce nearby. Paratroopers to reinforce when nearby. Okay, so it actually does quite a lot of stuff. How much does it cost? There is actually no cost on that, so can they just set them up? That seems amazing. We just got a report of an infantry unit being wiped out. That was the Zook-toting Rear-Ash squad? Yeah. So nice stuff there. Stormtroopers coming out in the nick of time, and it's going to be German infantry doctrine again. You see what I mean? These Wehrmacht players are just loving this stuff. So, yeah. Veteran squad leaders are coming down, though, and if you look in the top left, look at the top right, this is definitely an even fight now. Like, these armies look great. Getting the Zook even onto the Pioneers is nice. That is really good. So yeah, Forez in a fine position. If you can just stabilize on the field and stop the bleed, then this is actually totally an okay game. The problem right now is that he's continuing to slide further and further behind on the scoreline. So yeah, needs to grab one of the other victory points. Securing this one's going to help. That's stemming the bleeding. Axis forces pushing pretty deep here. Oh, he might get a wipe on these. Oh, he does focus fire on the Pathfinders. How much does that squad cost? 290 manpower up for grabs there. They sneak away. That's a bit unlucky. Those MP40s were at good medium range there, and didn't find the kill. The MG42, ironically, going to be... Oh, God! He needs to fall these units back. This Grenadier squad is turbo low. That's a 2-star vet squad with the squad leader upgrade. Okay, they actually sneak away. Pretty lucky stuff. Now the Storm Pioneers need to get out of this killing zone because... Sorry, the Stormtroopers need to get out of this killing zone, and they will, I believe, unless these riflemen somehow cut them all down on the retreat. They are chasing hard. Oh, God. Falling back across negative cover. That's a squad-wipeable squad now. Ugh! Oh my god. Okay, he gets them out of there. That was closer than I thought it was going to be. Brutal stuff there.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
But this game's pretty well balanced between these two players. Battle Phase 2 has not yet started. Let's just quickly check for Major Tech. Okay, Major Tech is like about to come out now. So the Axis player kind of needs to catch up in terms of tech. Doesn't really have the manpower right now. Has been quite pushed. To be honest, there's been combat this whole game, and that usually means that the Wehrmacht player is going to be pushed for manpower. But Battle Phase 2, I imagine, will be coming down as soon as Forez can spare the manpower. And then we'll see where this game's going to go. Forez, for right now, gets out from under the clock, gets some Grenadiers onto East VP. That's going to stabilize the scoreline for a moment here. It's going to be Sherman coming out pretty quick on the heels of this Major Tech. And that makes a lot of sense. This is a fine map for Sherman, and these are fine circumstances for a Sherman. Stelo! Alright, so Battle Phase 2 is taken. And this is the thing, though, because, like, normally, according to, like, conventional Company of Heroes wisdom, Company of Heroes 2 wisdom, usually I would be totally fine with the Axis player trailing by 200 tickets and having had this kind of a start to the game, because it's what we're used to seeing, and American forces are really dominant in the first, like, 15-20 minutes of the game, for sure, and we're just kind of used to seeing Axis players emerge into the mid-game with a bit of a scoreline deficit, reflecting the fact that they've had a hard time controlling the field, but with a decent enough roster. And that's usually fine because there's the prospect of a Tiger, or something like that on the horizon, usually a Tiger for Wehrmacht. And I feel like with German infantry, you just don't have that. Like, and I know the veteran squad leaders are really powerful, and I know that they make your infantry better and more survivable in the mid and late game, which is what Wehrmacht do really need. But I feel like, by themselves, it's just not enough value. Like, you aren't... This is not turning the fight. Oh my god, as he loses that squad. These 5-man squad leader upgrades are not actually overcoming the American advantage in the early and mid game, and then they leave you in the late game without the ray of hope of that super heavy unit coming in that you can try and stabilize and build your late game around. And like, that's a lot to give up, because I feel like more often than not, certainly when you're playing as Wehrmacht, and to a lesser extent as OKW, often you take a beating for the first 20 minutes, then you stabilize, and then you come back in the late game around a heavy fuel unit. I just don't really feel like German infantry doctrine is an acceptable replacement for that plan. I just haven't seen it do that yet. Like, I've seen a couple of games where it's just like absolutely, you know, where the game has ended in less than 20 minutes. Usually games where Skeletron is playing, and the veteran squad leader upgrades are great because you're in your opponent's base, like right in their face. You're getting squad wipes. You're doing like Von Ivan-esque offensive stuff, and you just kind of win the game super fast. But if your plan is to try and play a normal game of Company of Heroes 2, I actually don't really think I like the German infantry doctrine, which is a strange thing to say. It does feel strange to say, because objectively, these are all good abilities. But in your average game where we see this doctrine picked, like, how many of these do we see? Normally only the first three. Stormtroopers, the veteran squad upgrade, and occasionally the 250 half-track. And does that justify a commander pick? Is that actually enough of an impact? Does that give you a winning game plan? It seems more often than not, just from my experience casting the games that I've seen, which is quite a few now played with this doctrine. I would say I've probably cast, it's got to be 10 or 20 over the last month, probably, or last 2 months. At least 10 or 20 games. It's hard to put a number on it, but I feel like it's a reasonably decent sample size for one guy casting. I don't think this German infantry doctrine is actually delivering the goods. I don't think it's providing Wehrmacht players with a line of play or a game plan that actually has a decent chance of bringing them a victory. Whereas I feel like Spearhead doctrine, or elite troops, or like any of the popular Tiger Tank commanders basically do. Because, like, I just don't... I feel like the early and mid-game just kind of look basically the same as what we've seen here. You just get beaten up by Americans or Russians for a while. But then you have that lovely prospect of the Tiger to stabilize. And I just feel like this is not changing that dynamic. We've still just seen the Wehrmacht player getting beaten up, albeit with this doctrine. And it's like... But now we don't have the hope of that Tiger. So anyway... As we can crack the tack, and we can see here, the map is like turning more and more and more red. American forces are dramatically in the ascendancy. This Sherman is smashing face. There's only one pack gun. The German infantry is vastly outnumbered and considerably outgunned, to be fair. G43s are great, but American stuff with double BARs is really great too. And the Americans have that captured MG42, which has been making life hell for the Axis forces. So this is a super tough place for 4-res to beat. Now, the Panzer IV is out, and if the Panzer IV can hold off or even destroy the Sherman and harvest veterancy from the American infantry by mowing them down, well, I mean, this game could definitely be alive. If you look at the forces in the top left, look at the forces in the top right, look at the scoreline. Okay, there's a triple cap for the American player, but this is not unwinnable for 4-res, but it's certainly very ugly. We're going to need some fairly spectacular stuff, especially with a second Sherman coming down here. Oof. I don't know, man. Alright, it all comes down to these next couple of minutes, because 4-res is at breaking point, so something special needs to happen here. MG42 is in a nice position, captures a couple of American squads, so that's a lot of value to force back off the field. Perhaps now he can get out here and access the middle VP if he has the support of the pack gun, which he does, that's in the right location. And the Panzer IV is here as well, so these Grenadiers have a real chance of capping this point. Also, heroic Pioneers managed to... Oh, he didn't quite capture North... Oh, sorry, East VP. He didn't quite capture it. Thought he did, but didn't quite. And now, that's so crucial in a game that if it goes on, any game that 4-res wins from this position, oh god, he loses the Pioneers. Any game that 4-res wins from this position is going to have to go on for a long time, and that means that every victory point is going to be crucial. So, a little mistake there, and it may cost him big. We're going to see a Scott motor carriage get mixed in next. Did he cancel the second Sherman? One Sherman. American stuff is so hard to keep track of because they keep popping the vehicle crews out. Yeah, he did. He cancelled the second Sherman, and he went for a Scott motor carriage. It's probably fine. I mean, 2 Shermans I feel like would have closed the door pretty much here. So I feel like this is actually the riskier line going for the motor carriage. But it's still fine. It still makes life hell for the Axis player, who is probably, barring a very risky dive from the Panzer IV, is never really going to be able to get to grips with, like, this Scott. So Yeah. This is going to be tough. Alright, so here comes the Scot. Oh wow, he didn't even have enough munitions for the MG42 pintle mount. Eesh. Oh, this is so rough. Oh man, this is like just the turbo roughest game. 4S somehow connects a fuel point. Fair play. May even be in danger of connecting 2 fuel points here. Did manage to rebuy the Pioneers. I mean, that is not optional. Pioneers are mandatory, especially when you have a Panzer IV. And the Pat gun here finds a sweet angle to get some lovely holes in the side of that Sherman.
Territory is out of contact.
But this definitely looks grim. If I crack the TAC-MAC, we can see it's just a lot of Americans on the dance floor here. Hero Grenadiers get onto Western VP.
We are down to 200.
So that's going to be big. And the Panzer IV getting a beautiful hit, giving 4 riflemen. And the MG42 crew trying for the wipe. They're not going to get it. Now, the Scot here is going to probably get those guys out of that building. He does see the Scot, actually, and there isn't actually the most support. He could probably come in and chase that away with the Panzer IV, maybe even look for a kill. The Panzer IV is a little bit low, so that's risky.
Enemy forces are securing our
But it's an
territory.
option. I don't know. I feel like this game has gone so badly, you almost need to be considering the sort of high-risk, high-reward lines of play here for 4S. Ugh. As this Scot is just destroying the MG42 crew. Ugh. They're going to sneak away for now. Is this double M1? Double M1 AT gun. That makes life so hard for this Panzer IV. 4S hanging in this game desperately. But for how long? Okay, so we've nearly got enough fuel to start thinking about another fuel spending unit. What's it going to be? Second Panzer IV? Or do we go for a Stug to hide behind? We go for an Ostwind? I didn't see this coming. Okay, no, he goes for a Panzer IV. Okay, I think the Ostwind was a misclick. I was going to say, I don't understand the Ostwind at all. Cool. Alright. Yeah, going to go for a second Sherman for the American player. And, like, yeah, as the Axis player, you know that your American opponent is going to be just spending their fuel. And pretty much no matter what they spend that fuel on, an Ostwind looks terrible. So, yeah, I don't think the Ostwind was the way. So, second Panzer IV here. That is actually reasonable. If this Panzer IV survives long enough that he gets to survive to have 2 Panzer IVs out, well, that actually puts the Shermans on notice. Ah, come on, mouse. That actually puts the Shermans on notice. So, you can definitely take fights against 2 Shermans with 2 Panzer IVs. The M180 guns are going to be a continuing problem. Here comes a Sherman. What is this? Major artillery barrage? Yeah, that's a major barrage going to be coming down here. Going to be displacing an MG42 and a Pat gun, so that's some value to find for sure. Panzer IV going to be pushing a little way here in the north, but both the M1s are here, plus the Sherman. 2 bounces off the front armor of that Panzer IV is nice, and we did survive to have double Panzer IV. Looks like the American player is feeling like coming on in here. Both of the Shermans pushing in. I feel like we probably need double Pioneers as well. If he would grab another Pioneer squad, I think that actually serves him really well, because it makes the turnaround time on these Panzer IVs really decent. That ups their efficiency massively, and also kind of what 4S needs right now is just bodies for pushing onto points, and Pioneers are the cheapest, kind of most ablative. Like you just if the American forces are shooting your Pioneers over any of your other infantry units, that's basically fine right now for 4S. So I feel like going for another squad of very cheap Pioneers is really good for 2 reasons. Yeah, they can repair your tanks, and they're good for pushing. Pat gun here finding a nice stun round onto the Sherman. Where's this Panzer IV? Jeez, whoa, he's coming in deep with the Panzer IV. He wants the Scot. It's still on full health, so the AT grenade off of the rifleman won't be enough right now to blow the engine. and he's actually going to get out of there with the Panzer IV completely intact. A nice dive. Doesn't get the Scott, but that's a nice attempt. You got to play for these things, and certainly the Panzer IV missed a shot, maybe two on that Scott, so there's definitely a timeline where that Scott is probably either on death's door or actually burning, so that's a really valid attempt there with the Panzer IV. 4 res, just trying to make a lot happen with a little here, and it's almost working, but like, look how crushingly outnumbered he is. Ugh. Oh my god. So, Barcode actually kind of has the fuel for a Jackson, and I feel like that's the checkmate composition, because you've forced your opponent into double Panzer IV, and a Jackson is so good against that. As well, Barcode here establishing the triple cap over 4 res. Less than 2 minutes of time remaining under a triple cap here for 4 res. Some heroic Grenadiers are going to get their boots onto the Western VP, and that's going to help. But the situation just kind of continuing to deteriorate for our Wehrmacht player here. And it's difficult to know what the right answer is, especially if Barcode goes for the Jackson. Because, like I said before, I feel like that just is the checkmate composition. That just closes the door on all of the things that are good about 4 res's army. And, like, there's no Battle Phase 3, right? No. There's no Battle Phase 3. So, yeah, the Jackson just kind of wins, I feel like. That's if Barcode even needs it. Yeah, this has just been a super rough brace of games, actually, for the Wehrmacht players, really, hasn't it? Some Grenadiers somehow make it onto the Eastern VP, and actually, you know what? If I could level a criticism at Barcode, it would be that for an army this small, and when the American forces are doing this well, it has seemed a little easy for Axis forces to walk up to West and East VP and just cap them. They're not staying in Axis hands for long, but I feel like if you just garrison like an MG and have a rifleman squad sort of in between mid and that point, you probably stop this from happening. And that just closes the door a little bit faster on 4 res. So yeah, maybe a small note there, but it's probably academic because Barcode is just manhandling the battles, like actually just muscling 4 res away. What a game! What a game for an American player. Allies are looking strong at the moment. Might have a kill on a Sherman here, though. This is a unsupported Sherman going 2v1 against these Panzer IVs. There's a KO shot going here. Panzer IV stays still to take it. A bounce off the front armor of a Sherman. Barcode getting a little lucky there. Panzer IV pops blitz and pursues into double M1. Risky. And the Sherman adding insult to injury, casting a penetrating hit through the front of the Panzer IV there. Yikes. Oh god, that's a dead Panzer IV. He gets the Sherman at least, and that's something there. But is he going to sneak away with this Panzer IV? The Sherman comes in, wants to pick up this Panzer IV. I am stunned that the M1AT guns have not re-aimed. Is he going to sneak away? Okay, here comes the shot from the Sherman. He's going to get this one shot, and it's good enough. And now we're in a world where we're building a third Sherman and we're down to 1 Panzer IV. Oh, sorry. Whoa, the other Panzer IV gets taken out here by the M1AT guns, I believe, in mid. And that has to be 4 res's chances in this game over, right? I mean, taking a nice fight, catching a ton of American value with a rifle grenade under the arc of an MG42, grabs the M1AT gun, which is a hope of redemption. If you can nick all the American players' anti-tank guns, then you can kind of beat these Shermans off. But yeah, getting that American hardware out of that position is going to be very difficult. Just too many angry Americans. Major barrage going to come down here as well. Somehow this MG42 still alive. But this is a really... Whoa! This Scott is coming in turbo deep. This is really brave. And it's going to be a Stug here for 4 res. Probably a Desperation Stug. Couldn't really save for Panzer IV. Oh no, and the Scott will kill the will kill the Pat gun here. So things just going pretty sour for 4 res, who... you know, to their credit, is holding on to 2 of the VPs, not actually under the clock right now. But American forces are going to take mid. And I feel like if Barcode really wants, like, how do you stop him taking west? Anyway, the Stug's going to come out, and I think I actually like this better than a Panzer IV. It just has a little bit more range, a little bit more penetration. You can use it a bit more like a baby tank hunter, and I feel like when your opponent has triple Sherman, like, that's kind of what you need. Does he have triple Sherman? Oh, maybe not, actually. Alright, so here's the Stug, but the Shermans are kind of on top of it right now. Actually, he does get out of there. Yeah, okay, this is great. This is okay for the Stug. Forez just clinging onto this game. Under a double cap right now. 74 tickets and counting. American units just have this brutal concave just outside the doorstep of the Axis player's base. The Stug picks off the motor carriage. Nice. Getting itself nearly a level of veterancy, and that's actually a sweet pick-off. Now at least he doesn't have to worry about hails of shells from that thing raining in. Oh god, but this is just a killing field for Axis forces here. The MG42 that was stolen in the early stages of this game, just going on to have a brilliant game. That MG42 got so much value. 12 kills, 3 stars of veterancy. I don't know how much damage it did, but probably a lot. Yikes. And 4 res, after 32 minutes of desperate fighting, to be honest, is going to GG out of this game, and that's fair enough. So, yeah, we've seen a couple of games on the ladder here, which I feel kind of told the same story. German infantry doctrine not really delivering the things that I think Wehrmacht players are hoping it's going to deliver. And I mean, I know I said this during the cast, but I really feel like this is the take-home message from today's games. I feel like... Do you guys remember way back in the day when Mobile Defense Doctrine was kind of new? And I feel like Mobile Defense Doctrine was like a really good example of a trap commander, because you could click on Mobile Defense Doctrine and immediately gain access to Ostrupon and the Puma. And off of the back of those units, you could often avert defeat that was imminent. So if you're about to lose the game, you can quickly call in some Ostrupon, grab a Puma with what little fuel you have, and not die for like 5 or 10 minutes. But then, because you had committed to choosing that commander and spent your resources in that way, you had no late game plan, and so you were basically certain to die in 10 minutes when the allied player just like had overwhelming stuff that you can't deal with Ostrupon and a Puma. And so I would often see Wehrmacht players like who were losing pretty hard feel pressured into picking the Mobile Defense Doctrine as a sort of life support choice, and then almost always dying in about 10 minutes. So it was kind of a trap. It was just like, if you pick that commander, you are signing up for certain death. Or maybe not right now, but like really soon. And I feel like German infantry doctrine is kind of a different kind of trap commander, because it promises so much. Those abilities it gives you are so strong, and the veteran squad leader upgrade is amazing, and it addresses probably the biggest weakness of Wehrmacht through all stages of the game, having tiny 4-man really fragile squads. But I don't feel like it actually changes the dynamic of the first 2/3 of the game. Like, you basically are still losing to American stuff. Like, veteran squad leaders are great, but they just still don't beat riflemen. Like, not that I can see, not in the hands of good players who know what they're doing, not when the game looks like most Company of Heroes games do. Unless the game has gone in a weird direction, is basically what I'm saying. Those veteran squad leader upgrades aren't actually doing enough, and then you're just left in a sort of mid and late game with no prospect of your commander pulling you out of the fire with a Tiger tank or something else that's really good later on. And I feel like when you play as Wehrmacht especially, you need that late game hope. Like, you need something strong to stabilize around later on, or else the game's just very difficult, like, apparently. So I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong. Hit me some comments in chat, maybe, or in the comments section on YouTube when I upload these VODs. Like, I might be misunderstanding the meta here. I might be drawing lines between dots that are wrong. I don't know, but that's just how I feel. So anyway, cool. That's going to be the end of this like fairly random impromptu cast. I just felt like casting a couple of games this random Sunday. So thank you very much to all of you out there who tuned in live in real time. It's been really great to have your comments in chat. Thank you so much. And I'll be uploading the VODs. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much for choosing to spend your time with me today. And this for now will be Magpie842 signing out.